The time is now 6:30. At this time, I ask that everyone please stand as Councilman Chappelle will lead us in prayer, and please remain standing for the pledge. Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and dive right into our agenda. Item 1 on the agenda is to consider approval of minutes of April 19, 2022 regular session.
After reviewing the minutes, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 19th, 2020 regular session as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. Aye.
Vote carries unanimously. We'll now close item 1 on the agenda. Item 2 is Adcob Public Safety Telecommunication of the Year. Mark?
Mr. Thatcher, Council, and Mayor, thank you. I'm going to introduce Rhea Allen with the 911, who's a 911 program director for the ATCOG. Merle Lester is also here from the ATCOG. I'll turn the time over to them and let them present what they're here for.
Okay, awesome.
Mayor and to the Council, we thank you for this opportunity. Again, my name is Rhea Allen, and I am the 911 Program Director for the Artex Council of Governments. And we oversee a 9-county region, which Titus County is a part of our region. We oversee 13 public safety answering points within that region, with the Mount Pleasant Police Department being one of them. With me, I have our Emergency Communications Coordinator, Merle Lester, and we'd like to present an award to a very special person who's in the room and here with us today. 911 telecommunicators are the calm voice at the other end of every 911 call, the first responder and the hidden hero of emergency services. This is the Artex Council of Governments' 5th year recognizing an outstanding 911 dispatcher from our region. This award acknowledges the special contributions of a telecommunicator whose daily performance is an inspiration and example to others. Consideration for the award was given in the areas of communication, leadership, and the telecommunicator's ability to respond during unusual or special circumstances. I'd like to ask Ms. Amber James to join me up front, please. Ms. James, you were chosen from a pool of over 100 dedicated and exceptional telecommunicators. Your selection was based on your exceptional handling of emergency call management, the unique contribution you have made to your emergency communications center, the level of commitment and the dedication you have maintained, and this, with the support of Chief Buman, who is in attendance today, and the nominations by Lieutenant Travis Nichols, Patrol Corporal Destiny Cannon, and Property and Evidence Manager Teresa Wooten. They are unable to make today's presentation and send their regrets. In their absence and with the permission of the Council, I'd like to read their nomination letter.
Go ahead.
The nomination letter from Ms. Wooten reads as follows. I first met Amber James when I came to work for the police department almost 7 years ago. Over time, I've gotten to know Amber and have a profound respect and admiration for the professional way she conducts herself. I enjoy spending time in dispatch visiting with our telecommunicators and have had opportunities to watch and listen to Amber when she is in work mode. Her knowledge of her job is amazing. She has exhibited great professionalism and courtesy to those whom she communicates, people who at times are in stressful situations and are not always kind to the dispatchers. She always keeps a calm and level head, which is extremely important in her line of work. I have served with Amber on a couple of interdepartmental committees. She always conducts herself with great professionalism. She listens with an open mind. She is willing to take ownership of her thoughts and opinions when serving on committees. As a senior communicator, she is responsible for the training program for new telecommunicators. She is willing to spend time with and listen to a new dispatcher and goes through great lengths to ensure a new dispatcher understands their role of the job. She has stated multiple times that if a new dispatcher fails, then she, Amber, has failed, which we know that's not true. She considers it a great accomplishment when a new dispatcher succeeds. Amber is also a member of the Mount Pleasant Law Enforcement Association and, as such, is very visible within our community. In her role with MPLEA, she often attends community events to represent both the association and the police department. She represents both with immense pride. I dare say it would be impossible to find someone within our agency who did not like and respect Amber. Were it only possible that we can clone her. I consider it an honor and a privilege to nominate Amber James of the Mount Pleasant Police Department for the 2022 ATCOG Public Safety Telecommunicator of the Year Award. The letter of nomination from Patrol Corporal Destiny Cannon reads as follows. I have been employed in this department for 8 years, and during that time I have had multiple opportunities to work with Ms. James. James can juggle many tasks, including stressful emergency situations. James responds quickly and addresses the needs and concerns of the caller while still maintaining professional interaction with the caller and officers. James not only has a role as a telecommunicator, but she is also a reliable friend, employee, who always sees a need for change. James is working with others in the department to implement a wellness program for her peers and understands the importance of mental health in law enforcement and wants to change how we combat those stressors. James not only takes pride and respect in her position as a dispatcher, but in law enforcement as a whole, and that is why I am nominating her for Telecommunicator of the Year. The last letter I will read is from Lieutenant Travis Nichols. Senior telecommunicator Amber James has been with the Mount Pleasant Police Department since August the 8th, 2007. Throughout the years, Amber James has grown from a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed rookie dispatcher to a seasoned senior telecommunicator. Within the last year, she has served as a big cornerstone of our police department and a representative for the Mount Pleasant Law Enforcement Association. Amber arrives every day ready to work, lead, and train. Amber has demonstrated on multiple occasions how to handle, coordinate, and provide vital information to first responders on the ground during critical incidents that frankly led to the best possible outcomes. Amber is an FTO, and this last year has trained 2 new hires. Amber also handles scheduling for 9 telecommunicators. Amber has a great compassion and commitment to serve her community. I highly recommend Senior Telecommunicator Amber James for the 2022 ADCOG Public Safety Telecommunicator of the Year Award. Amber, I'd like to say from the Artex Council of Governments, the 911 program, Chief Buman, Communications Manager Eric Hall, Emergency Communications Coordinator Merle Luster, and for the ADCOG region, that we recognize your importance to our region and to the city of Mount Pleasant. We'd like to thank you for your dedication, for your service, and hope that all telecommunicators model themselves after you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here tonight.
Okay, we're gonna move right along. That was awesome. It's always good to see our employees exceeding in their line of work. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and close item 2 on the agenda and move on to item 3. Item 3 is a presentation by the gifted and talented students of Fowler Elementary.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have some teachers and students here from Fowler Elementary. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Sheila Eddy and her students.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Sheila Eddy. I am a gifted and talented teacher at Vivian Fowler Elementary, and this is a small sample of my class. This year, 7 students chose to do a community service project that they would present at a regional competition, and they did a great job. And they chose to do free little libraries. Each student took ownership of one part of the project. Giovanni Williams, can you tell me who you called? He called Mr. Harris to get permission to place the free little libraries in the city parks. Who did you speak with? This is Isabel, oh my goodness, Klump, Isabel Klump. Who did you speak with? She spoke to Mr. Cardenas because they wanted to do a book drive to collect books at school to place into the libraries. And this is Allison Blackwell, and who did you speak with? She called Miss Kim Dale at Titus County Cares because currently Titus County Cares manages the free little library that is in front of the Chamber of Commerce. And we are going to have to move that. And so I talked to Mr. Harris about where we would move that to. But that will also come under the purview of this community service group. And so we're going to take that over. We also had a student who spoke to Miss Helen Thompson regarding the fact that the library actually had 6 free little libraries in storage. And so we didn't have to build anything, we didn't have to do anything, we just had to go get them. And now we are asking the city council and Mr. Harris to give us permission to place those one in each of the city parks. And then these students will pledge to maintain them and make sure that books are there and that they are painted and look nice in the parks. And so that's why we are here.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you. I don't think the council would have an issue with that. All right.
Good job, kiddos.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, guys. All you young ladies, we thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and close item 3 on the agenda. We'll now move on to item 4. Item 4 is a consider approval of pay request from Watson Construction for the work on the community center. Mr. Thatcher.
Mayor and council, our architects could not be here tonight, and in fact, in the future, probably Lanny Buck will be presenting these pay requests. But the contractor is asking for his first request payment in the amount of $80,218.80. The number 4, it shows that there were some change orders in the amount of $237,013. Had to do with prices and additional steel and so forth. It took this from 2.3 million up to 2.8 about. So, but those change orders were approved previously, but it's just got it outlined here. And so they've got I didn't get out to see if they poured the slab, or they prepared the slab, prepared the site and so forth. So Their payment of $80,218.80 is on for approval tonight. We recommend approval.
Okay, council, we have any questions on this item? Okay, if not, the floor is open for a motion.
I move for the approval of the pay request for Watson Construction for the work on the community center.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Walker, second by Councilwoman Sproul. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 5, is to discuss and consider a proposal of engineering services for the proposed Sports Complex Regional Lift Station Phase 1 project and extension of sanitary sewer to the areas surrounding the sports complex.
Mayor and Council, tonight we have Mr. Brian Capps with Capps Engineering, Capsco Engineering, and they have been conducting an analysis of that area to the north of the complex. As I explained in the memo, that this is an area that a lot of properties are owned by the Lumina Mining Company. They have henceforth been selling those tracts of land off, all that area around the sports complex, and we've had several requests from developers to consider annexation of that area into the city because they would like to have city services up there. So I think we've been discussing this with you for the last few months about an analysis. We've conducted some preliminary analysis of sewer needs. We've also studied the water project. I think we can get that underway. But we wanted to discuss this engineering proposal and the cost of that. And Brian's here tonight just going to go over the details of that and see if we could move forward with at least the engineering, initial engineering design parts that we have to do for that to get that in front of us. So I'll be glad to answer any questions the staff of Mr. Capps is here to talk.
Let me just say, if you remember, we talked about this. This is the land north of the park that's starting to develop, and there's lots of requests. We feel like that we want that water certification area. We want them on city water, and we'd like to have them on city sewer. The developers or landowners that are in that area have stepped up and said that they would help. They would participate $200,000 to $400,000 to get water and sewer there. I know that we've got lots going on, but with the idea that the growth is happening, we want them on water and sewer. We want them in the city limits, so we can control that. And the idea that if we're not growing, then we're kind of dying on the vine. And these are good developments that we really need to have in the city and on our system. So we had them do the proposal for the design. We'd like to approve that, do the design, and then come back and see if we can fund it to do the project. They're going to build the houses, whether it's going to be in the county or in the city, and we really want them in the city. All of them have said they want to come in. Even Lumen said their land that's not sold, they want in. So we'll be able to get the park in and in a lot of the other property in. And it's possible that with this sewer line and the way we're going to build it, that a lot of the property owners on the west side of 271 going up who are not in the city limit may want to come in if they can get on sewer, and they'll be able to do that. So anyway, Brian, I'll turn it over to you, and just want to kind of grease the skids a little bit.
Sir, you have to hold that button in front of you there.
Okay, there it is. There we go. Yeah, I agree. If you don't jump out there and grab that territory, it's going to be all started by tri-sud. It'll be half-acre lots. They're coming. I mean, the development's going to come. And you have the major employers here fixing to add on to more workforce, and there's no place to live. Yeah, they're going to be building houses around. So, yeah, this little project morphed from my construction company looking at some old dilapidated sewer main that we were just gonna try and rehab and get that working for one of my older brother's developments up there, into better processes of thinking and what we can do to help the whole region. I think it is good for the city. It's good for the developer. You know, when you got the private-public partnerships, that's always a good thing. Usually developers come to cities and say, well, what are you going to do for me? They're not doing that. I think it's a good deal. So we're looking at that entire drainage basin that comes down to basically the city park, and going to master plan, not piecemeal it. We're going to master plan what needs to be done, even if we have to kind of cut the project in phases, build a smaller or build one section of the lift station to start off with to handle the low volume flows, but design it to where it can be easily added on to and expanded in the future as the development comes on. And at that time, you can require those developers to add a bigger pumps, upgrade electrical, or even a wet well beside the proposed wet well. So, you know, I think it's a good thing for all. It really is. But
When we were having talks with them, Robert talked with me and said this is really an opportunity for us to do this the right way. And so we actually sat down with the developer and Brian and said, let's see if we can't, rather than piecemeal it, let's do it the right way, and you guys participate the money you were going to do it with us, and let us see if we can't serve that whole area out there that will actually be better for the city for years and years to come. So that's how we got to where we are.
All right, council, do we have any discussion about this?
I took some time, drove out to where they're starting development. I don't know if any of y'all had the opportunity to do that, but some really nice houses out there. I hadn't been out there in years. When I was a young kid, I had some people that lived out there, so I spent some time out there as a young man. But as I was driving through there, I was thinking what we discussed, the ability to bring in several different pieces that are all going to develop one way or another. And the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about some of the things that we had discussions about. And, you know, if you're not progressing, guys, we're going backwards. We have to move forward. We have to do these things. We have to plan ahead. We don't have the luxury of allowing Mount Pleasant to stay stagnant. We have to keep moving forward. And sometimes people don't understand that. And, you know, people that are in business like myself and some of y'all, and we can see the picture for what it really is. You can see it's something that plays out in front of you. So I would encourage this for sure on my behalf. I'm 100% in on this because we have to move forward. We have to present something down the road to our children and our grandchildren and those, you know, and generations to come, because we're not going to sit still. And if we're not planning, we're going to end up in the same spot that we were in 2 or 3 years ago, where we're having to play catch up and borrow money to do infrastructure plans that now some people don't even understand what you're trying to do, but you're playing catch up from people that had no vision.
Just say, I mean, you may have read it in the book, but the total engineering fee to do the plans and specifications for the project is $114,750, and we have the money to do that, and as well as we're working on the design for the water to put that in place up there. So and then at that point they'll come back with an estimate of what it takes to build the project, and at that point we'll decide to go out to bid or not, depending on, but we'll try to find the funds to do that, and that's when the developer participates with us at that point. So, Robert, you got.
I just wanted to expand on what Brian on this analysis also. This is like a phase 1 analysis of that area. It's basically from the development that you saw up there again. But Luminant is, we've got other tracts of land to the east and then to the north. This study, the expanse of this study, its initial analysis is that this phase one will open all that area up coming down south, all the way down to the south of the park, and in possibility to too, we've got the part across 271. There's a tract of land there that could be possibly served or can be served at some point. We know what we can do to get it served. But the bigger part of this is that from his analysis, from what we can gravity flow from up north, it's close to 1,400 acres. We can get close to 1,400 acres in phase one and phase two if we elect to go that way in the future. And that gets us pretty much master planning that whole north part of the town. And at 1,400 acres, that's a lot of homes that can get built in it. And even from our comprehensive plan, which you're going to see in a few weeks, that's one of the probably the predominant growth area that we can see in the city. So that many homes, if you've seen other cities, when you develop that kind of population on that part of town, then that means we'll have substantial retail, commercial growth north of I-30. So it has ramifications. Residential always comes first. You get enough residential, then the next grocery store, the next retail outlet, they're all going to find that place to be moving to the north side. So it's those kinds of things that make it happen, and it always is infrastructure. If it stays in the ETJ, you'll never get really what you really want. But this is a good move for the city.
And this is not one of those things where we're going out annexing a lot of land without a plan or without anything in mind. This is land that is prime for development and developers wanting to build.
So has there been any discussion for broadband infrastructure? Because we can't overlook that. If we're talking about building out a nice neighborhood up there, 1,400 acres to develop, we're talking water, sewer, we cannot overlook broadband, which that's pretty much going to be fiber these days. So has there been any discussion about that?
No, not on my end. Right now, we're looking at water, sewer, and the infrastructure. When they see developments, we always coordinate with whoever the telecommunications and the power providers are in the area with our subdivision designs. If they see a large density of customers coming, they'll figure out how to get there.
It's interesting that Peoples has their backbone. We were talking the other night is in Mount Pleasant more than I thought it was. I mean, they go up 271, they go up to the other business and also 271, come across. I think at the what's the one that comes across from the 271 to the other end by the water tower, the concrete street. And it goes down the FM road right past the park entrance, the second one, and goes over by Neville's Church out over there. So where People's mostly is hooking up retail customers and commercial customers, all of that backbone, fiber backbone out there is going to be available for these developments.
Not far down the road from these subdivisions.
So Peoples has approximately 150 business customers today in Mount Pleasant. I've had extensive talks with them, and their current business model, it's just not viable to do a residential play because it's hard to compete with the Suddenlink rate plans. The Suddenlink can come in and sell a rate plan a lot cheaper because Suddenlink is not providing fiber to the home for their customers. They're still doing the old coaxial way of getting broadband to the home. But the way that People's builds out their network is with fiber, and fiber costs more than $7 a foot to put in the ground. So do the math. It's very expensive. But we just need to keep pushing People's, and I think if we can keep putting the pressure on them, they'll come up with a residential play, because to Mr. Thatcher's point, their backbone is already here. And they're currently only serving business customers, but if we can get them hooked on residential, there's a lot of customers who will do the swap.
You know, what we're seeing it is Cherokee County Electric Co-op where my house is. They're strapping it to those utility poles, and they're running fiber to the premise. They pulled fiber inside my house this last month. It's good stuff, and it's the electric co-op. They've got the infrastructure sitting there.
If we, I understand there's the study and then the consideration, the bidding process, but in reality, what kind of timeline if we are able to stay on, accelerating on this before we actually start to get people hooked up to it and we're, using it?
How long for this study?
It's a slow process. Yes, it could be. Like the water line extension we're working on now, our easements won't be ready for 30 days. Just the easements across the Luminant property from the surveyor that's already surveyed all that out there. Everyone is completely swamped right now. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while to get the design done. The studies, we'll be doing the studies at the same time as the lift station design. But yeah, it'll be a few months, it sure will. I would say probably 6.
And then,
And that's just for the study, but I mean, to actually see it where people are hooked up using the services in reality.
Yeah, you're waiting on the developers. I can't really start designing the subdivisions until I know the city's gonna go with sewer or not. If the city, we go through this whole design, we put it out, and the bids come in, the city says, well, we just don't have the money to do this. If I design that subdivision, I'm starting completely over. I'm going to half-acre lots. I'm doing with running with tri-sud water. I'm starting over. So I'm not turning a pin on the subdivision designs until we have a commitment out of the gravity sewer and water for the city.
So year and a half, 2 years to actually say, hey, it's in process, we can grow out here.
All righty. We certainly appreciate it. Do we have anyone else that have a comment? Okay, well, we'll end the discussion and we'll go ahead and open the floor for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion that we approve this proposal for the engineering services as presented for the sports complex regional lift station. I personally think it's a great opportunity for all parties, and it's much needed. It's just a shame it's going to take 2 years, but we need it yesterday. But that's the process, and this is the least we can do is get the ball rolling now.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, we'll close this item on the agenda and move on to item 6. Item 6 is the consider approval of resolution 2022-7, waiving the building permit fees for Habitat for Humanity for home construction in the city of Mount Pleasant. Robert?
Mayor and Council, we received a request from Habitat to ask us, they haven't built a home here in quite a while, I guess since pre-pandemic. So they're back to being able to build a new home, but they ask for a waiver of the fees for that because they're nonprofit, and obviously everybody pretty familiar with Habitat for Humanity. A lot of cities do this. The last cities I worked in always waived the fees for Habitat because of their charitable contribution to the community and trying to build affordable housing for people to get into. So what we did is we put together a resolution rather than come back on each thing. We're basically asking the city just to consider, because not only do they do new construction, but they also do remodel construction and whatnot. And I think we feel like it's probably good policy to promote this, and we brought a resolution saying that this is a policy from this point on. Unless you change it, some other council changes it in the future, that we'll just say when they come in, we'll just waive those building permit fees for all their projects.
Robert, I'd like to thank you and Ed for doing this very quickly. After the person that got the phone call and the email, I really appreciate you all stepping up and taking care of this for them.
No problem.
I personally feel this is the least we can do. There's a lot of good people that work in this, and it helps a lot of families in our community. So this is the least we can do to help. So thank you for bringing this to us, and I'm totally for it.
Hey, Robert, on average, about approximately what size homes do they typically build, square footage wise, and maybe bedrooms, bathrooms type deal, if you can share that information?
You know, they're usually smaller homes, 1,400 square feet, maybe 1,200, 1,400 square feet. I think that's probably about average. If they get 3 bedrooms into them, you know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, without further ado, I'm sure we have no more questions. Again, I think that is the least we can do, and I'll open the floor for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-7 as presented tonight.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Chappelle, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 6 on the agenda. Item 7 is public comment. At this time, and if anyone would like to speak, please approach the podium, state your name and address before addressing the council. Okay, being that you have a comment? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if I do know I'm getting older. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older that I'm a little more sensitive to things. Probably. But there just seems to be so much noise in our city from vehicles and quite a bit of out-yard gatherings outside. And so I'm just hoping that we could all be attentive of that, try to help cut it back. I'm telling you, I like to rip my britches the other night. This guy revved up his car, me standing right by it. It scared the liver out of me. It just shocked me, and it's really getting, I know I'm getting older, and maybe I'm sure I'm a little more sensitive to these things than I used to be. But anyhow, the police department, I don't know if anybody's here. Here's the chief. If whatever ordinances we have, I'd like to try to remind people at least that we need to respect each other's space. Thank you for letting an old lady speak.
I might just add, 2 Saturdays ago, I had the opportunity to speak at the Civic Center. We had a group in from all over the southern part of the United States for gospel singing, and I did kind of the introduction and welcoming for the city, and I stayed for a couple hours for it. It was quite an event. They had probably 125, 150 people here, and they stayed in the hotel. There's some as far away as Florida that was here, Arkansas, Oklahoma, remember Mississippi, Louisiana. But they were very, very complimentary of the Civic Center and the personnel over there, so I might just pitch that out. They was Brendan and all, they spoke very highly how accommodating they was, and they have met here previously back in, I think, maybe 17, 18, 19, but they was looking forward to coming back again next year, and hopefully this is a good central location, but again, they was very complimentary of all the city when they're here, but especially the Civic Center, so just wanted to add that.
Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to comment at this time? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and close the public comment at this time and move on to item 8 on our agenda, which is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'd like to, there's a couple of things I want to mention. Councilmember Dale just brought up the thing with the Civic Center and how wonderful it is. And I need to tell you, next council meeting, we'll have, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have a proposal to do some repairs to the Civic Center. The sewer system in all the bathrooms around in the kitchen is failing and swells in it, collapsing. And so when they have a big, they'll have an event, and in the middle of the event, it all starts backing up into the Civic Center. And sometimes we get it fixed or cleaned out as best we can, and then they have another event, and there's no problem. And then we bring another event in, and at the beginning of that one, it all backs up and comes back in. And we've done some work over there. Lenny's engineering firm looked at it. We've got some swells in some O-line. It's cast iron pipe. It's collapsed and so forth. And so we really can't have activities over there with this problem backing up all the time, and it's almost constant. So our plan is next council meeting, there'll be a proposal to do the engineering on it, and then we plan on closing it down right at Christmas or right after Christmas to do a 2 or 3 month. We won't let anybody else have anything, but it's January, February, and maybe March to do the repairs we need. We'll have to come in from the outside and cut into the foundation and then fix it in each, and then put the floor back in and the foundation back in, and have to do that all the way around. We thought that we might have to, these lines were running under the building, we thought we might have to just cut through in the floor, but it's all the way around it, and they all go from the inside to the outside. So anyway, we'll have a proposal next time, and we are planning on anybody that's got anything scheduled for January, February, March, we'll contact them, tell them we will be closed, and we're not going to take any more then, in hopes that we can bid it out at the end of the year and start January 1st to do the repairs. Just wanted to let you know. You may hear from somebody between now and then that has something, and then they call up and tell you that they had sewer run into their program or something. So we're aware of it. We're trying to work with people and trying to get them through it, but it happens where they'll have to say, don't go to this side, go over to this side, and stay away from over here. So anyway, that's an issue we're dealing with. The other thing, I wanted to thank everybody, my staff and volunteers that that planned the Pine Fest celebration and actually were there. We had all the departments involved. They were all part of the planning and the doing, and then they were there to make sure it was implemented. We had more people here this year. We thought we might have less, but actually that was some disinformation, and we ended up having more than we had last fall. But and from our standpoint in the park, it seemed like that the parking was a lot better. Those who were doing the parking out on the fringes may not have thought that, but they did an excellent job, and it was a really nice evening. In fact, we've had so many nice hits on the Facebook. Had no negative, haven't read any negative, but just all positive. Just one after another, thanking the city council and the city for doing this, and the wonderful evening. The weather was great, and it was just a nice evening. And so thanks those that were able to come, but we really I appreciate the staff and the volunteers. It was a yeoman's job to do it, but it really turned out very nice, and I want to thank them. And that's all I have tonight.
I'm going to follow up with you, Ed, on the Civic Center. I've had the honor and the pleasure to serve on the Civic Center board for 30 plus years, and it was built back in the 70s, and I'm going to tell you the Civic Center has been an integral part of our community. We've had governors and dignitaries and senators over the years that have come and spoke there, so many banquets, and I think the community is well supportive of it and understands when it comes time to do these repairs. It's much needed, but it's really a great asset to our community over the years, and it will continue to be.
All righty. I'll say again, thank you all, the staff and everyone that made Pine Fest what it was. It was a lot of hard work that went into it, and I really appreciate it. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the city manager's report, item 8, and we'll move on to our executive session. Pursuant to Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, the City Council will recess into executive session to discuss the following. Will be litigation to consult with the city attorney concerning legal matters. At this time, the council is in executive session. Time is now 7:59 PM. When council has reconvened from executive session, there is no action taken on the item. This time, the council is adjourned.